Talladega Superspeedway lived up to the crapshoot character we know and love, leaving drivers like Corey Heim and Zach Nichols reeling after being top dogs all season and getting swept up in wrecks late in the race, giving Ryan Vargas time to shine and take over the points lead. Welcome to Pit Stop TV. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV with Gary Weaver alongside, and with 200 laps on the docket for us this evening, this is very much set to be a long and grueling, attrition-filled battle at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Let's fly in, thanks to Google Earth, and take a look at where North Wilkesboro sits. It's very much on that western side of North Carolina, nearly in Virginia. I've been here once before they went through all the renovations of the Speedway, but it certainly did not look like this. The 1987 version restored by iRacing.com, Dale Jr., Steve Myers, SMI, and everybody in the Smith family. Marcus Smith, a big driving force behind this version of the track in the sim, and NASCAR's revival of it later this year when they go for the NASCAR All-Star Race this May in 2023. Gary, glad to have you here. This is very much a difficult racetrack on its own, let alone the 200 laps we're racing this evening and the 30 some odd cars we plan to have on track.
And it's going to be absolutely wild here for tonight. This is going to be, again, I'm excited. I can't wait for this. This is going to be really fun. And like you mentioned, Andrew, this is the 1987 version. I'm pretty sure after the All-Star race, everybody is pretty much assuming here that iRacing will eventually get the essentially 2023 version, which might just be an art update, actually. So we'll see how that goes for iRacing's case. But regardless, I am really excited for this. This track is very unique, and I think if I remember correctly, it was Gerald Waltrip that said this was one of the only tracks where you go up the front stretch and down the back stretch.
Yeah, it is really cool. It's just for that reason alone. It's actually down the front stretch, up the back stretch. I don't know if you had that maybe backwards, but yeah, you dive into turn 1, you rise into turn 3, which makes each corner exit of turns 2 and 4 that much more difficult. And there would be actually some rescanning that iRacing would have to do. The actual racing service hasn't changed from the data they have from a few years ago, but it has been resealed, and now there's a safer barrier kind of protruding, but also pit road is different on the current version, which I guess they would have scanned. But there have been some changes made by SMI to the current North Wilkesboro Speedway in real life. I think they would just go ahead and... we'll see, I'm sure, at some point. But hopefully we do get that very soon. It would be kind of nifty to have it suddenly that week of the All-Star race, but who knows? We'll see what happens. The lap record, by the way, for NASCAR Cup Series Next Gen Car qualifying here, set by James Helton at a 17.607. We are nowhere near that tonight. We're in the 18.4s for the best times we have on track, and that was a while ago in practice. Really, these guys are running 18.9s, 18.6s in some cases. I see an unofficial 18.1. I think that might be some wall riding. These guys trying it out in practice, but not going to be allowed in the race. Let's talk about our standings, though. A lot went on last week at Talladega, Gary, and this is the result of it. Ryan Vargas, not locked in. He did not win the race, even though we called him winning 3 or 4 times. Did not win the race. 18 points up, though, on the cut line, which puts Matt Kemp 6 points in, Leighton Sabile only 2 points in, Brian Mercurio only 1 point in, and Gabe Herschel, a big-time winner last week as far as just stage points and race points and everything. 5th now, picking up 6 positions from 11th all the way up to that 5th spot, only 1 point out. The easiest, I think, road that anybody will have to get into the championship for that isn't already in, because then you have a 14-point deficit for Pacioli, a 17-point deficit for Bowen, and then you see Corey Heim and Zach Nichols and some of the big losers from last week that I was talking about. Really big crashes for a lot of guys, lost a lot of points.
We were talking about this too just before we came on air too, so it's going to be the 07 is going to be one to watch, especially throughout this event. All he needs to do is just, like we talked about, just keep it clean, stay out of trouble, be there by the stage as well, especially at the end of lap 75, and then everything should be good for Herschel. But we do have 200 laps to get through.
You see the extra win sticker now next to Frisch's name. Congratulations to him winning last week at Talladega Superspeedway. Not here this evening, We'll see if maybe he chimes back in this season next week at Kansas. And let's talk about the schedule before we go qualifying here. Daytona way back in February now. It seems like it was a long time ago, and I guess in some ways it was. I forgot they do the balloons in qualifying. Oh, yeah. Man.
It's going to be at the race start, too.
I forgot that was something that they did in the sim. It's actually the first time I've ever noticed that, Gary, and that made me so happy just now seeing that. You can see the balloons rising. I've never actually had a chance to simply look at that. That caught me off guard. That is so cool. iRacing sometimes really outdoes themselves. But back to the schedule. North Wilkesboro, race 10 of 12. Kansas next week. That's going to be real interesting. I think we're going to have a little bit of pack racing, a little bit of traditional intermediate racing, a really weird mix. No clue what's going to happen, really.
It's going to be absolutely wild. Even for me, I came in technically, pretty much halfway about through the season from Coda, and even then, that feels like long ago. So it is, it has definitely been one heck of a second half of the season we'll go with here, and we're almost into the playoffs. But of course, we still have to get through qualifying.
Well, we're seeing some short track ringers. Short track aces certainly show their prowess as Jesse Love goes second to Corey Heim, currently on provisional pole. That may change, though, as qualifying goes on. Ryan Vargas, fifth on the order so far. Joel Smith, showing he's got some short track pace, goes up to fourth. Ray CPI brought their game, apparently, today. Jonathan Palmieri, eighth so far in qualifying. A bit of a smaller field than we've seen all season long, but might even see a few stragglers come on in here towards the end of the session. Here's David Cabrera. 3 minutes to go in qualifying, and you see now, Gary, on the left side of the screen on the ticker, there are now white backgrounds, red numbers for the drivers that are in the playoffs and vying for a chance to race for a championship at Charlotte in a few weeks. So, if you see somebody with the traditional red background, white number, they are not in the playoffs. Otherwise, they are. Here's a look at the LTLN number 5 of Anthony Rotolo. Had the pleasure of joining him on the Left Turns and Loud Noises podcast on Friday. In fact, that released today. Kind of an interesting mix of some conversation from last week's race at Talladega as Brian Mercurio goes to the top of the board for pole in car 41. That is big. We'll talk more on that in a moment, but had the pleasure of joining Anthony for that broadcast as we talked a little bit of UFL Talladega and NASCAR Talladega before the race, and then they kind of went back and recounted a little bit of what happened at Talladega a little bit later on, and that released this afternoon. Here's Gabe Herschel in a really cool paint scheme. We talked about this before we went live. Really enjoy what Gabe has done with this BioFreeze number 07, kind of a nod to Henry Gant in a little bit of a way, and it just looks really, really good.
Now let's see if he can bring that car to the pole. He has one more lap, this time across the start-finish line. He will go to only 16th, so not the best, not the worst, of course, or 18th, actually, yeah. And just gets loose. We might be seeing this a lot as well over the course of the race. So, like we said, qualifying, at least he does have a chance to recollect himself, and again, just have to stay there by the end.
Looks like several drivers opting not to qualify, and therefore just start wherever the sim puts them. Some of those guys being Andrew Swartz, Austin Moore, Barrett Polhemus, Sean Farr, Doug Denice, Jake Fluman, and Matt Wishart. It seems like drivers opting to do so as Chris Wetz is on track in car 71. An onboard look on the NASCAR next-gen car with the 1987 version here of North Wilkesboro Speedway. Low and slow through the center of the corner. No grip on exit, no brakes on entry. It is a tough combo as Chris Wetz will go 5th quick. Wow, that was a very surprising 5th quick. How about Chris Wetz? He's got speed.
He bobbled a little bit too, surprisingly, so that is absolutely fantastic. I didn't think it would be that fast of a time, but well, looks can be deceiving, and well, we have seen that so far for qualifying. We just have to wait for the time to expire before going to the race.
Back to the point standings, Gabe Herschel, you see that 1 point out with Mercurio, that 1 point above him. That's interesting. They actually sandwiched the rest of the field. Mercurio on pole currently, Gabe Herschel the slowest qualifier so far, and it looks like that is going to hold in this session. That is rather interesting. Polar opposites to start this race, and Gabe Herschel certainly has his work cut out for him. We'll see what he can do. Pacioli, by the way, is slated to start 9th. Cy Bowen in the 17 car slated to start 12th. Corey Heim slated to start 2nd. Zach Nichols currently would start 4th. Andrew Schwartz did not turn a time. Jonathan Palmieri currently would start from 14th. And Austin Moore, it looks like, not turning a lap either. We certainly have...
as well.
What's that?
I don't mean to cut you off. I'm not seeing Leighton Sabile anywhere.
Yeah, I don't see Leighton. That's going to change things.
That's going to change, yeah.
That effectively, in fact, we'll bring up points again. That effectively makes our cut line a 1-point difference, other direction, a 13-point difference between Gabe Herschel and Pacioli. With Sabile earning no points tonight, not in the field at all. That's seriously going to change things. He still has a chance to go win at Kansas next week if he makes that one. That's going to change things.
I'm speechless, basically. I didn't expect Sabile to miss out, but I guess we'll see. Hopefully he does show up at Kansas. Hopefully everything's all right, unless I missed something else completely unrelated. But regardless, yeah, for now, that's going to throw a huge wrench into everything. So Herschel has a bit of a buffer now, at least taking this into account. So that still doesn't mean he shouldn't at least be, more careful at least throughout this race. In fact, he has more to lose than the game.
Well, that makes it slightly, and I say very slightly, easier on Jonathan Palmieri, Austin Moore, Andrew Schwartz, but I would still consider those three at the bottom in a must-win situation. Certainly Leighton Sabile will be after this race as well, so call it 4 drivers in a must-win situation either tonight or next week at Kansas. Technically, I think mathematically, yes, those guys could make up the points to still get in on points. But when you have the stacked running order ahead of them in the playoffs, Gary, correct me if you feel I'm wrong, but I really feel like the 67, the 3, the 91 are all very much must win. And they certainly can win. Those 3 guys absolutely can win. But I think when you look at the results they've had throughout the season and the drivers they're up against in just 2 races, to make up 30 points, it's not going to happen. Maybe Schwartz can make up the 20 points, but the 30 points, I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, it would have to take one heck of a drive from Palmieri and Moore, as well as I'd say taking into account, at least in this case,
top 3 of the stage in the race, you have to, at the very least.
Yeah.
And that's only the start of it. That's only the start of it. Then you need guys like Vargas, Kemp, Mercurio, Herschel, Pacioli, Bowen. You need all of them much further down the running order as well. You got to make up points on them. You can't just make up a lot of points for yourself. You have to make up points on those drivers and have those drivers have trouble. That's where the issue comes in for guys like Palmieri, Moore, and Schwartz. So it's going to be tough for sure. But warm-up on track currently, as you can see, drivers lapping around the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Here's Matt Kemp in his signature number 54 car. A couple of cars there stopped on the outside of the racetrack. Corey Heim staying in the throwback spirit. Certainly appropriate. Had to do a track like this. Jesse Love quick today as well. And Zach Nichols really needs a good run. Not on track currently. We'll see if he decides to get on track later, but really needs a good run tonight. Of course, had that big crash last week towards the beginning of the race, actually, and just tried to stay in it as best as he could, but really needs a lot of points. Along with this guy, Pacioli, he could use a few this evening.
Pacioli could use a lot, pretty much throughout, especially throughout this event. So we'll see. He currently sits on the timing. In fact, I don't think he's. Unless I missed it. Yep, I did miss it. He's sitting apparently about 2nd place, I believe, on the timing sheets. Unless I'm looking at something incorrectly and it just hasn't reset.
Pacioli's 6th currently.
6th? Okay, that's what that was.
Ryan Vargas, though, currently 9th on the time charts for this warm-up session. Comes into tonight the points leader. I think that's the first time he's been the points leader this season. Has an 18, call it 19 now, point advantage over the cut line. And I think is in a really good spot. Obviously still has to execute this weekend. Next, can't slip up at all, but that's a really good position to be in if you're Ryan Vargas. 18 points, 19 points, nearly 20. Just get some stage points and finish somewhere in the top 10 these next 2 weeks, and you should be racing for a championship in Charlotte, all things considered. That's really solid.
Yeah, he's put himself in a great position. He was fantastic at Talladega with both pushing and being pushed. It was absolutely fantastic. Fantastic position for him to be in, despite the fact that Talladega was a bit of a weird ending. But regardless, though, that still doesn't again negate his performance that he had.
Here's another really solid throwback in the field. Jonathan Palmieri throwing it back to the first paint scheme that he ever sim raced back on NASCAR 08, I believe it was. That or NASCAR 09, one of the two. Zach Nichols goes to the top of the board. We talked about him needing to get back on track potentially, and yep, the 45 car is quick. Cy Bowen also back on track, goes 6th quick. Some of these guys picking up some pace right at the end of the session. Gabe Herschel, he's going to come in. Jonathan Palmieri, well, that session ends, so we'll see what those guys are able to do then. As I think we had the wrong graphic. We had the qualifying graphic up. Believe me, that was the warm-up session, not qualifying. But we do at least have a grid on track now with Brian Mercurio on pole and Corey Heim outside. That is a stacked front row. I think two of the best that we've seen on short tracks. I know Zach Nichols went down to the wire with at Martinsville with Corey Heim, but Mercurio has been oh so good this season as well. And we've got a really solid, really solid front two rows, because in row number 2 you've got Jesse Love not in the playoffs and Zach Nichols starting from 4th. A really fun lineup here towards the front of the field. Chris Wetz, David Cabrera, they make up row number 3. Then in row 4 you've got Carson Bowers and Joel Smith starting from the 8th spot. And then how about a couple of playoff competitors starting in row number 5, Timmy Pacioli alongside Matt Kemp. That's a fun one.
And row 6 has Ryan Vargas. Keep an eye on him. Not the best qualifying position, but we'll see how he goes. To his outside is going to be Cy Bowen. He's going to be lurking through, probably trying to snipe some positions away. We'll see. Adam Koldel starts off in lucky position number 13. We'll see how he handles down his outside. The 3, Jonathan Palmieri. Rounding out the top 15, is Cody Williams. And to his outside is Tristan Hagenstein in position 16. Ryan has a bit of a stack up here as everyone's trying to get their engines running. Ryan Pistone starts in 17th. 18th place is going to be Anthony Rotolo. And then Gabe Herschel starts 19th, and who should be 20th is Bear Paul Hemus, but he chose to not grid.
That means Andrew Swartz will grid up 21st. At least he should be.
20th.
I guess now, yeah, it's putting him 20th.
Qualifying, yeah, 21st.
But regardless, the back end of the field will also have Matt Wisher, Austin Moore, Jake Fluman, Doug Denice, and Sean Farr in our 26-car grid. Now, we thought we were going to have 30, 40 cars. 26, not bad as far as keeping things a little cleaner. We'll see if that makes this be a little more green flag heavy. That's a possibility. I'll knock on wood. Don't want to jinx something, but we will see how this evening goes. Weather conditions for us in the sim: 78 degrees in the air, 121 degrees on track, and completely clear skies, not a cloud in sight. That's the way we like it in April for a race at North Wilkesboro Speedway. The iRacing.com pace car will make the hard left turn down to the safety of pit lane, and we're going to let them light it up. It's a UFL green flag from North Wilkesboro. And leading the ever-important first lap, it's going to be Corey Heim on the top side. Going to take that momentum and put it to good use on lap 1 and get on by Brian Mercurio, who blinks a little bit that second lap, has a big slide. Here comes Jesse Love, going to put him 3 wide, and maybe some contact there to the back end of the 41 car. Getting aggressive early, are we?
And Corey Heim just showing he has absolute dominance on the outside lane once again. He did at Martinsville. He's doing it again this week as they rub doors, both Jesse Love and Zach Nichols, off of turn number 2, squeezing on the outside. Nichols holds the outside lane. I believe he might have locked up a little bit, but he will now fall back to 4th place as Love gets by on the inside.
Nichols looks to the inside briefly. Love comes down the racetrack and takes the inside, and there we go. Nichols moving him early and gets the 21 up and out of here, and he wants the bottom side. He's going to take it. This is for 3rd position, and already a bit of a bump and run. Now Love gets back and repays the favor to Nichols, but it does nothing there, and Nichols powers off and away with the 3rd position in hand. Behind these guys, Cabrera, Wetz, holding station. Joel Smith into 7th spot ahead of Carson Bowers, and there's a big-time gaggle back here with Pacioli way up the racetrack. This is for 11th and 10th.
Bowers just all over the racetrack. Somebody lock up.
Wow, what a catch. Pacioli, squirrely on the front stretch.
Oh, I did mention that drivers were, at least I did. I didn't think it'd be too prevalent, but something to keep an eye on. This driver's starting to get loose out of turn, out both corners, really, from pushing so hard, because this track is not flat. Pacioli goes way on the outside, the third lane. He has been trying that for the first few laps. As he gets scrolly again, saves it barely. Well, at least he's trying the third lane. I'll give him props, but I don't think it's going to be the best bet.
Yeah, I think you've just got to try to minimize wheel that you have in the car on exit when the banking falls away. Oh no! Hagenstein hooks the 86 into the outside wall, and that is the North Wilkesboro run done. Maybe. Actually, there's really not much damage to either machine in that, but we do have our first caution flag of the evening on lap number 8 of 200. And trouble there for Hagenstein and Pacioli, but really not much damage at all.
I think they'll be fine. It might have been it was quite hefty contact for the 86 plate, or for the 86 Pacioli, but I don't know. I think it'll be okay. We saw that as it happened too. That was a great shot. You saw the bobble that the 27 Hagenstein had. And we'll see it once again here on the Pit Stop TV replay. Off turn number 4, up on the outside. Hagenstein gets loose, tries to keep it off. Oh man, that's just unfortunate. That's definitely a racing incident there.
That is a pretty big hit, though, to the nose for Pacioli. What's interesting is that's likely going to neuter the power a little bit. He's going to be a little slow on corner exit, maybe, but that actually might help him with the way he was trying to use different lines on the racetrack. That was the bobble he had on the back stretch. Good catch there. But then with side-by-side with Hagenstein kind of power back in the center of the corner, and then, gets hooked around, and you'll kind of see it from this angle a little bit. The 27 comes down, hooks him, and into the wall they go. But I do wonder if maybe that's going to help him on corner exit. If he's going to keep trying that third lane, if maybe that's just a little less power to the wheels, if maybe he can get the power down and be a little safer potentially, maybe that actually ends up working out for the 86. It was not heavy contact. It was kind of medium contact, I guess, if you want to try and put a size on it, but this is the view from Pistana, and yeah, that got messy quick.
That doesn't look too bad from Pistana's view there, so I don't know. We'll see how things go. If I remember correctly, even if you're down on power, it's not the worst thing in the world. I remember this actually from the Truck Series, or in this case, the C-Fix, or the C-Fix Series at Bristol Dirt. Even if you're down on power, it kind of helps you in the corners. So, of course, that's dirt versus asphalt. So we'll see how that translates. I have not seen how that translates in the asphalt short tracks, but now we get a chance.
The field pacing around. That one caution coming out quick puts us under halt, if you will, and really nothing changing. Only one car in the pits, and it is Pacioli, as you might expect. He's taking service in the 86 car. And right back out. Very short stop. Honestly, all things considered, only 6 seconds. So I think he got away pretty much scot-free. That is a really good situation from what could have been a really poor situation there for the 86 car. Only 6 seconds in the box. That's what you like to see.
Of course, that wasn't his first pit stop. He did pit a couple of times beforehand, true, yeah. But only 6 seconds. I think he's pretty much ready to go.
Jesse Love leaning back a little bit, but we'll see him pack up here as the iRacing.com pace car will make another hard left turn back to the safety of pit road and leave the field in the hands of Corey Heim and Brian Mercurio. Heim early in the restart zone, back green flag racing at Wilkesboro. Jesse Love hard to the inside there. Tried to make a move, couldn't get to the inside of the 45 car, but peeking down there for sure. Back on the front stretch, 1 lap complete on this brand new green flag run, and there's a side-by-side battle with Cabrera and Kemp. Cabrera bobbles ever so slightly. Here comes Ryan Vargas and Joel Smith in a battle.
Just like that, sorts itself out to only, well, I was about to say only Cabrera and Smith. Now it's going to be Cabrera and Kemp as he tries to look to the inside. The better exit with the 54 of Kemp, but still Cabrera just lurks right there. But let's not count out Joel Smith. He's hanging up there on the outside. He's doing a fantastic job getting that run.
How about this drone view as you see the field get a little farther away that time? They come back on the front stretch, get a little closer, as Ryan Vargas works on the left rear of Joel Smith, and now Joel able to use the top side to kind of drive away ever so slightly, get alongside Cabrera with Corey Heim, purple that lap. On board, though, with your points leader coming into today.
I see Joel Smith still trying the outside lane, and just in front is David Cabrera. Vargas trying to figure out which lane to pick, and this is one of those things where, yeah, you're kind of stuck here. Cabrera slows up a little bit more. Vargas looks to the inside as Smith gets past Cabrera as they have a spin as Rotolo.
Anthony Rotolo at turn 1, trouble for the 5 car, and he gets back rolling, no caution. And now Ryan Vargas finally has the opportunity to the inside of Cabrera. This is for 8th position. And Vargas was up the racetrack ever so slightly there in the center of 1 and 2. They kind of both slow up and fall back, but they're still side-by-side racing for the 8th spot.
Looks like it was just a quick spin by Rotolo off of turn 4. Lost traction, just got nicked by the 86, but everything should be relatively okay. Probably missed by... I wouldn't be surprised if it was at least overlooked ever so slightly because of the battling going on. But regardless, we do stay green. Not a lot of damage to either car, either the 86 or the 5, so we do keep going. Everything's fine. And just a great onboard shot by Carson Bowers as he watches this battle in front of him.
That was close. Cabrera trying to stay off the wall, ends up getting the right rear there of Ryan Vargas, and they all kind of stack up a little bit. Got to be careful of it, as now Cabrera lets Vargas come up that time on the front stretch, but that was really, really close once again. Now Cabrera trying to fight back on the outside, and finally concedes the 8th position for the time being.
I think all 3 of them got loose there off of turn number 4 for a second. That was very, very close, and I see there Bowers just running the very inside lane, but riding on board Nichols now, who is lurking in the rearview mirror, essentially, rearview camera, both? I'll go with both, of Brian Mercurio.
Yeah, interesting spot here for Nichols to be in as he hounds the 41 car. Mercurio, of course, started on pole, had a really good opportunity this evening, but lost the lead quickly as your top 3. This is exactly the top 3 I would have expected, actually. Throw maybe Matt Kemp into the mix, and that's kind of the top 4 that I would expect. But this literally would be the meme format, is this the big 3? Because Corey Heim, Ryan Mercurio, Zach Nichols, they each have a win each. In fact, Corey Heim, of course, has 2 wins coming at the final 2 races of the regular season, Phoenix and Martinsville, and those also a couple of short track races, all things considered. I know Phoenix is kind of on that verge of being an intermediate race, but Martinsville surely is a short track, and these 2 guys, Mercurio and Nichols, have just been fast everywhere else. Really leading me to believe, again, this would be your big 3 of the season. Kemp would be the other potential 4th driver to put in that mix.
All 3 of them are essentially trading lap times. Last time by, they were about the equivalent of 0.03 seconds off of each other. This time by, it is Corey Heim the fastest out of all of them, the slowest being Zach Nichols by 0.08 seconds. Actually, that's a whole 10th just about. So they are sticking within each other, actually. So we'll see how this run fares for these drivers here.
Meanwhile, in the back, how about Austin Moore, car 91, a playoff competitor. Currently in the 20th position, though, he's got a lot of work to do. The worst right now of the 11 championship drivers in this race. Austin definitely has a ways to go, and we don't have a stage break coming up until the completion of lap 75. And some contact there to the outside wall for the 91. And look at these guys all over the racetrack. This is really interesting, actually. They are really using up the track every bit they can, trying to search for speed.
I've heard multi-groove racing, but wow, this is absolutely incredible. As Moore dives to the inside, can't get the run off on the inside of Cody Williams. So back off, try the outside lane again, diamonding the corner, actually. Very, very interesting.
Some battles further ahead as well. Andrew Swartz, a championship driver. Ryan Pistana not in the playoffs in car 43, but that does move Swartz right behind Gabe Herschel, who is in the playoffs. A couple of drivers here battling for some valuable points. In fact, the next 4 drivers in front of Ryan Pistana, all in the playoffs. Cy Bowen, Jonathan Palmieri, Gabe Herschel, Andrew Schwartz. So really important racing here in the midfield.
As cars absolutely everywhere here. As we continue riding onboard, Andrew Schwartz, a great view, and seeing how much of that wheel is being worked as well as he goes way up top to the third lane.
And I like that we have this driver's eye because you can also see on the dash now, thanks to iRacing's update a couple of years ago, you can now see lap times. And that wasn't a thing a long time ago when we first got our starts in broadcasting. That wasn't an option. You couldn't see that kind of data. Whether it was a digital dash or analog, none of those moved. You didn't see anything, but now you at least see the RPMs, you see the gear, and you see that lap time. And here we go.
Wow.
A move from Schwartz, powered off the top of turn 2 to the bottom side of turn 3, and that was beautiful.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Schwartz was thinking that split second, oh, well, I guess I'm passing on the inside now, because that's the same thing that I would do. As we see in the background, Timmy Pacioli going way up top, nearly into the outside wall.
And now Pacioli has to deal once again with Tristan Hagenstein, and that's a scary concept. If they had that run in not so long ago, of course, it was not at all intentional. It was just a mistake from really, I think, both drivers. They could have given some more room, and Pacioli kind of put himself in that situation in the first place, but certainly Hagenstein came off the fence, and now you see in the foreground a pass in turn 3 taking place. Andrew Schwartz on the 3 car of Palmieri, and that is for 12th position. So, you know what? I'll say it. I know it's early. I know things can still change as Bowers here works on Vargas. This is the best racing I think we've seen. Just heads up, straight up racing, getting into a bit of a run, potentially all season.
This is definitely absolutely
Oh
no.
What a catch,
Wow.
Ryan Vargas. Unbelievable, that save after getting punted in turn 1 by David Cabrera. Not the first contact between those two drivers. And Cabrera, I think, realizing, oh man, yeah, there's a bumper on this car, and he just used it.
Yeah, Cabrera's backed way off, and I don't blame him whatsoever. He does not want to be the person to ruin the point or current point seekers run.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah, so I do not blame him for backing off. That was a fantastic save by Vargas, but we'll see how Chris Wett's tires are. But for now, Vargas' tires are no doubt quite a bit overheated from that save, so he can't really attack that 71 for the 8th place just yet.
Here we go for second, right behind the lap car Rotolo. Real quick to the inside, 3 wide through the corner. Nichols dove down there on Brian Mercurio. We nearly had a 3-car battle for the race lead, and this is some good stuff up front.
Probably try to use him as a pick, and I'll blame him. That's absolutely clever, and they do not have lap traffic for quite a while, so these guys do have quite a ways to go, but they are all nose to tail now as opposed to, 10-15 laps ago when we last checked in on them.
Yeah, they were spread apart by at least a couple of tenths each, and now, I guess a few tenths each, because now they're a couple of tenths apart, and you see how close they are for the first, second, and third positions. Further back, there's a lot of really close racing that's going to be right in front of these leaders. Here's Doug Denice, Cody Williams for the, 20th spot. This is what the leaders are coming up to with Sean Farr, Adam Kodal. This is going to make things a lot more interesting. You see the leaders in the background.
Everyone all over the racetrack trying to figure out what position or which lines to take. And so far, they have made it through for the time being.
Doug Denice, by the way, running one of the best throwbacks we've seen all season.
How did that go right by my brain? Wow. That flew round to the radar for me. That is a very, very nice. That works. That's very, very clever.
Yeah, of course. He's got the car number to make it work. Really, really solid job there by Doug Denice painting that car. Denice designs all over it, and I think this is about the best ad a designer could make in a league. I mean, that is just perfect. That finish looks completely accurate to what you want to see. He does get passed up by Kodal, and the leaders are getting a whole lot closer. Corey Heim now right behind him, and this is going to get scary. Sean Farr way up the racetrack as lap 45 of 200. 30 laps to go this time by in stage 1, and that backs up Mercurio to Nichols, and everything is going to get a lot more fun.
Let's see how all these lead cars manage this traffic, as Corey Heim will be the one to get followed by Brian Mercurio. Very interesting strategy by Zach Nichols, entering way up top in turn 1 and diving down low, as Corey Heim does get by both Doug Denice and soon Cody Williams. And then after that, Adam Kodal. But Zach Nichols is going to be stuck on the inside. This is going to be a very hairy situation. But so far, everyone's going through A-OK.
Codal way up the racetrack, following the wall now off of turn 2. Doesn't hit it. That was good stuff. Mercurio now looks to the inside of the 16 car of Williams. And this could also help Jesse Love make up a little bit of time on these guys as Mercurio slides a little bit on a turn 4 that time. Nichols going to take the high road in turn 1. As you mentioned, an interesting line. He's going to try and run down the racetrack, get an exit, and make a move here in turn 3. Used it perfectly. To the inside of the 41 car goes Zach Nichols, racing for second spot. He's got the nose ahead and trying to take it. Doesn't have it just yet.
Almost. He did get that car on the inside line as they make contact just behind. They're okay. They stay off of each other just about. Zach Nichols with a great move to the inside lane. Took away that inside lane in turn 3 the last lap, and this lap he will clear Brian Mercurio for second. Like you just said, Andrew, beautiful, beautiful pass.
Oh, Sean Farr in the wall, the 22 car. Hard in the fence there on the front stretch, I think on his own some, and that is a broken right front toe link, and he's going to have to let everybody go by and try to maintain control of that race car. There's Cabrera, here comes Schwartz, and down he goes down the racetrack. Let's hope he can keep it down there. I think he's going to go down to the grass and tow, and he is.
Yeah, I don't blame him. That's pretty much a race ender right there. It's going to be a solid few minutes of repairs, unfortunately, for Sean Farr, but he did a pretty good job, but man, got loose off of turn 4. Not the first time we've seen that tonight.
Well, let's quickly recap some of the races so far. I guess the race, how it's gone so far for some of our championship playoff drivers. Here is Austin Moore, currently running 19th position, started 23rd, so he's positive technically. But boy, does he have a lot of work to do right now, the 91 car, running the last position out of all of our playoff drivers. The next one up the road is Jonathan Palmieri, currently in 15th spot, but being caught by the number 99 of Jake Fluman for that 15th spot. Hopefully Palmieri can turn something around, get some speed going, and avoid a must-win situation potentially at Kansas next week. Gabe Herschel right in front of Palmieri here again. Really needs to get going and really needs these stage points. I don't know if he needs a yellow or what he needs here, but Herschel has got to change something. He's got to take advantage of the potential gift he's being given of being the 4th driver with Sabile's exit. Well, not so much exit, but absence here today. Herschel needs to get points as Pacioli runs just in front of him. Then Cy Bowen, a big catch at a turn 2. Man, a polar opposite day, though. If you look at Andrew Schwartz, he's driven his way from 21st to 10th, Gary. This is a really good run looking for the Subway 67 car.
Starting nearly in last place and now sitting in at the top 10. Could possibly get more points. We'll see how the rest of the this stage shakes out in the next 20 or so laps, but a fantastic job as Ryan Vargas has also been doing a really good job. He started 11th, he sits 9th, and well, so far a really quiet day essentially. Points leader, and he's having a very clean race. That's exactly what he needs.
Up the road, Matt Kemp right behind Joel Smith and Jesse Love. I think Matt taking a slower approach at the day as well. Certainly what you have to do at a place like North Wilkesboro Speedway. You just got to click off laps and get through the day, and Kemp is doing a good job of it. He's driven up from 10th to 6th, so kind of a lackluster qualifying effort turning into a decent day. Certainly a decent points day that he needs as he is in the top 4 of the points. Just really, really needs to keep that kind of run going. Mercurio sits 3rd now behind, 2 seconds now behind our race leader. Zach Nichols sits 2nd. And, of course, Corey Heim continues to lead this race. But there's a lot going on in the top 10 that we've got to take a look at. Joel Smith, Jesse Love, as they approach our lapped cars. This is going to get hairy.
This is going to be this is one heck of a traffic jam here in Wilkes County, and I've heard of them. But man, this is going to be very, very. I don't know.
Look at this top-down view from the blimp.
Oh man, that's what 4, 8, 9 cars all in one shot there.
On different laps as well. You've got 3 of them going 1 lap down, the rest trying to get by. The 21.954, the first of the bunch to get to him and go by. Now Jesse Love clear of that. He's going to open up a gap on Joel Smith. But the 04 and 16 are still trying to fight. Cody Williams right to the back end there of Adam Codal briefly. And man, this is the epitome of what you want to see. Perfect North Wilkesboro Speedway racing so far.
Absolutely fantastic. A great save, I noticed, by Kemp off of turn 4 there. A slight bobble, but he's okay. We see Ryan Vargas making his way through, just following the 14 of Carson Bowers here.
Kodal got the fence into turn 3, but recovers through turn 4 and into turn 1. Here's the onboard from Vargas, moves the 14 up the racetrack, going to try to fill the hole down underneath him, and now backs out. But that was an opportunity almost, but I think Ryan just trying to pace himself. Of course, he just has to get to the end of stage here. He got by Chris Wetz, so that's an extra point. Doesn't have to push anything.
He might decide to push the 14 anyway. We'll see how this goes now that he's going into turn number 3 as he looks just up ahead of the road. Wow. Joel Smith just gets right by Matt Kemp off turn 2.
Yeah, Joel hangs on to that position. Matt was trying to take it away, but got loose that time out of turn 2. Now Carson Bowers standing in the way of a point for Ryan Vargas. And as you mentioned, Ryan might use the bumper anyways. He did so a couple of laps ago, whether he meant to or not, and he might do so again before the end of this first stage of racing. Of course, we pay out points in the top 10. 10 for the stage winner, 9, 8, 7, 6, all the way down to 1 for 10th position, currently occupied by Andrew Swartz, with really no battling there, no contest at least for Andrew Swartz, even though he's reeling in Chris Wetz.
10 laps left in the stage, I'm saying, and everyone's the top 3 is relatively spread out. Corey Heim still running away as we continue to watch this battle around here for the 4th place position between Jesse Love and that 21, Joel Smith.
And this is a little different. Cy Bowen and Gabe Herschel. This is down here 12th and 13th. Palmieri has since been passed by Fluman for 15th, so Palmieri moved him down to 16th spot, a little closer to Austin Moore. And Bowen here 13th, Herschel 14th, might have to defend here from the 99 car.
Hopefully, even though it's not for stage points, it's going to be a good morale boost, essentially, if Herschel is able to do this. Although, unless that's just the front grille. Nope, that's just the front grille. Okay, I thought the 07's front bumper was a bit crushed, and I was about to ask what the heck happened that we missed, but nope, he's all good. But that 99 of Fluman is charging up on the outside.
And Jake Fluman, by the way, had a really promising first race at Daytona International Speedway. I don't know exactly what did it. I just recall him being the center of conversation for those opening couple of laps. Couple of races, rather. At least the center at times. Definitely was a noisy driver in a good way. Made some noise and just kind of fell off as the season went by. And Herschel, what a catch there. Down to the inside in turn 3, gives up another spot, but hey, keeps the race car moving, keeps the race going for himself, and is still battling here with Fluman for 14th spot.
I see in this some of these shots too, just in the background, the lurking driver that was the 11 of Corey Heim. He's closing his way through, so that's going to be something that the 07 of Herschel needs to look out for, is that 11. I don't think he'll get there in time, but you have to be really, really careful now that we're closing on the end of stage, well, the first stage. Well, the stage, essentially.
Yeah, Corey Heim out of turn 2, those guys out of turn 3, as Heim laps Hagenstein. A solid gap from Heim back to Nichols, and this is everything Corey needs. This would put the cut line now right back in front of Gabe Herschel, right back behind Brian Mercurio, but if we get to any kind of late race restart and it's still between the 11 and 45, I wouldn't doubt gloves coming off. Recall at Martinsville, where it was a bump and run for Corey Heim to take the win away from Zach Nichols. I don't know if they were sour about it then. I don't know if they'll be sour about it now. Really, Nichols more so, but it is short track racing after all, and this is for a ticket to go fight for a championship at Charlotte. So I think anything would go at that point here at North Wilkesboro. 1 lap to go this time by in our first and only stage, and the 11 car is right on the back bumper of the 3 to put him a lap down.
Not the most ideal for number 3 of Palmieri. We'll see as even Corey Heim gets a little bit loose. What Corey Heim could do is just sit directly behind Palmieri and just let him take that position away, and we'll see. He does have Zach Nichols behind as he comes to, I believe, the final lap of the stage. That was
stage right there. Corey Heim just won the stage. So when our top 10 comes across, we should get the yellow right about now, and stage 1 will be complete. There we go. There's the caution.
I was thinking 1 lap ahead, apparently. Well, 1 lap behind.
And so there is Corey Heim, wins the stage. Your top 10 drivers are Heim, Nichols, Mercurio. Jesse Love over Matt Kemp, by the way. Joel Smith lost a spot and looks like has been in the outside wall at some point. Then Carson Bowers, Ryan Vargas in 8th, Chris Wetz 9th, and Andrew Schwartz checks into your top 10. I will say, Gary, this is a very important drive for a guy like Andrew Schwartz. A lot of points out, but hey, even that 1 point now puts him 1 point closer. If he's able to get some points by the end of this race, it's going to be big. And, he's racing guys like Cy Bowen that he's in front of, Pacioli that he's well in front of, Herschel there as well. He's at least going to get closer. Might still need to win a race. I don't know, but he's at least getting closer.
I'd definitely rather be closer instead of completely out of a chance whatsoever. So pit stops going on. Of course, everyone going to be taking 4 tires, no doubt, after that long 75-lap run. Not a full green flag run, as I think. No, Heim did just get it. Okay, Zach Nichols nearly sniped that first place position out pit road.
That was very close.
Wait. Zach Nichols, did he speed on pit road?
I think he was caught speeding.
Yes, he was. Oh, no.
Wow.
Pit speed is double checking 35. Zach Nichols on exit. Oh, 39. Right at the last second, too.
Nearly had him, and quite frankly, I can't blame him. He had to, right? That would have been so pivotal in this race. That would have flipped the script and potentially really helped Zach out, but unfortunately, just a little bit too fast. Again, can't blame him. If anything, he kind of had to do that, had to give it a shot, but it backfires for him this evening. As here you see some of our lapped cars in pit lane. Adam Kodal, Austin Moore, it looks like. Oh, no. He might be done.
Austin Moore, he has decided to step out of the car and take off the helmet, unfortunately. That is, that's really unfortunate. On the bright side, though, at least for Austin Moore, he did make it into the playoffs, but not the best way to end. He's not out entirely. He still does have Kansas next week, but it has not been a fun few races.
Well, there's the yellow. This is in the replay. Austin Moore, I don't know if he just decides to call it quits after the pit stop or what, but complete stage 1. Was it a disconnect or was it a packet loss?
Definitely a disconnect.
Well, unfortunate for the Illinois driver, as he just ends up calling it a day. But Corey Heim wins stage number 1 and is getting ready to get this race restarted, and it looks like this lap. So the 1 to go signal being given to the field on lap 81. That means we'll restart on lap 82 and have 119 laps to go when we get the green flag in a couple of moments. Corey Heim up front. Brian Mercurio right back on the outside. No Zach Nichols to contend with. That puts Jesse Love 3rd. Matt Kemp in 4th. Then Carson Bowers, Ryan Vargas, your top 6 as we look to open stage number 2. Green flag in the air. A big lane change from Mercurio, but it's going to count. And lap 1 of stage 2 complete. Corey Heim out front.
I'd be surprised if race control gets on. So at least warns Brad Mercurio. That was very close. He thought about it. He moved back up. He didn't hinder Jesse Love, who restarted 3rd there and still sits 3rd with Matt Kemp behind and a whole swarm of cars behind him. But we'll see how things go between that in the meantime, as Cabrera and Schwartz are side by side.
Look at this, Zach Nichols 3 wide, Joel Smith down underneath, Cody Williams up top, Anthony Rotola right behind him, 1 car sideways, it's the 3 of Palmieri, who goes through the grass and just hangs on.
What a save, locked it down.
Oh, Pacioli in the fence hard. I don't know if he got hooked or just got loose, but he got the wall really hard there. You can see a lot of new damage to the right side of that machine, hopefully no suspension damage, but let's ride on board and see if Pacioli is trying to correct it down the front stretch or not. Looks okay.
He didn't nail the right front, oddly enough, but it was probably just enough to not really get anything. Wow, a huge slide up top. That is not Jake Fluman, outside Bowen. Jake Fluman, however, is moving to the inside here.
Bowen up top. Going to give a position up and drop into 11th as Fluman makes his first appearance in the top 10 this afternoon. Now Gabe Herschel slides back in front of the 45 car, and the 43 of Pistana, 1 lap down, got loose that time. Hangs on to it, though. Whoa, Fluman,
no!
Hard into the inside wall. I'm surprised that car is still driving as well as it is. Oh, he's having trouble. Gets hit there briefly by the 5.
It was for a second. Oh, yeah, that might be a broken toe link. Well, that is the quickest commentator's curse I've ever seen. That's so unfortunate, though. Wow. Fluman was doing fantastic. Hopefully, he will not have too long of a repair time. But I was about to say, I think Fluman was a sleeper.
That's going to be at least 8 minutes for Fluman, and day done, realistically, for the 99 car. Out front, though, we've had a lot going on in this restart and set of laps afterwards, but Corey Heim leading over Mercurio. I think this is our race for the win if this goes green, which I doubt it goes green, but if it does, I think that's what we're going to have. As here's 3rd, 4th, and 5th, the 21, 54, and 30.
And at least only taking stage points into account with essentially back of the napkin math, which hopefully is correct. But again, we'll see how this goes at the end of the race. Vargas still does lead by 9 points over Matt Kemp, but even still, Matt Kemp is, well, directly in front of Ryan Vargas. So we'll see how things play out in the meantime. Mercurio with 1,049 points, and then Sabile 1,042. But again, that's not taking into account live positions, as Vargas goes up top and just holds on to it. Nearly got passed by Bowers there in turn 2, as that's the, who's that on the
27,
infield?
Hagenstein, loose on the inside.
Oh, man.
Slides into the grass after a bit of a spin, and will give up 16th now to the Rotolo, who is a lap down. But Bowers, he's been aggressive this season. We've seen that time and time again. I think back to Auto Club Speedway as the most egregious moment where he got into some people on restarts and caused a couple of yellows. Hopefully plays nicely here with Vargas, and yes, does for the moment. But as these laps wind down, I don't know if Bowers is really going to stop himself to really be concerned with Vargas's championship, right? He wants to get spots. He wants to win races. So we'll see if Bowers is able to do so, as suddenly Pacioli, boy, was he in the fence not so long ago. I don't know if something's working out for him suddenly, but he has got it rolling on the top side.
You know, Pacioli, I believe, was the one that was running that top side at the first, 10 or 15 laps at the start of the race. He's trying it again, at least in turns 1 and 2. It seems to be working insanely well for him for the time being, as everyone is quite literally bumper to bumper. This is, Vargas around the back bumper of Kemp, just stays off.
Oh, 3 wide.
3 wide.
We are 3 wide. The 30, the 14, the 86, and Pacioli wisely backs out as Love now has a car underneath him. That is Matt Kemp to the inside. A lot going on as, door banging down the front stretch. Matt Kemp muscles his way through to 3rd. Jesse Love has to give that spot up. And now Vargas is going to turn the 21. Oh! Wow, and they all keep going. The 21 spins into the grass, but there will be a caution flag, and Ryan Vargas just made a little bit of too much contact with that 21 machine of Jesse Love, turned him right around, and a caution has flown.
Vargas was very immediately apologetic with that, and I don't blame him. That was really good racing, though, regardless. That was just too close for comfort there for Vargas and Bowers. A bit of a misjudged distance. It happens. That was absolutely hectic.
We're going to go back a little ways and get a really good look at everything that was going on. There was 3 wide back here at the 30 and the 14. Then you see Kemp and Love were side by side, door banging on the front stretch here as Kemp came up and Love came back down, but Kemp ends up getting it in turn 1, and then Love tries to back himself up in the corner and get back in behind Matt to avoid exactly this kind of thing, and then, you see Bauer nowhere to go, gets into Vargas and really makes it a little bit worse. That's just short track racing.
It is. It happens, and definitely nothing egregious by Vargas there. It was from one of those things by the looks of it. It's Love thinking, okay, well, do I have time to get to the inside? Yes, no, maybe. And Vargas thinking, do I have time to get to the inside? Yes, no, maybe. And that was just, the maybe had won out instead of a firm yes or no in some cases. And technically, Jesse did get down to the inside, just not in the preferred method that he wanted.
It looks like Ryan Pistana may be... Actually, no, I think Anthony Rotolo was our lucky dog. He catches up to the field and is 16th spot now. Some tankers, by the way, under this yellow. Joel Smith, one of them. This is the second round of stops, actually. Schwartz goes back through the pit lane. I'm kind of surprised there. Rotolo stays out. I think he'll probably pit this time by, but we had 4 very important takers. One of them is our race leader, Corey Heim, ends up pitting from the race lead. I'm very surprised by this, but now if he takes the set of tires, he's good for a little while, maybe trying to go good to the end. Ryan Vargas also pits. Zach Nichols also pits. Cy Bowen pitted under this yellow. So 4 really important takers, all racing for a championship.
If we do get a caution or two, those drivers can make it to the end. They made it on 75 laps and then on that full green flag run, so we'll see. Let's see, looking through to give more details on the, at least in terms of taking the stage endpoints into account. We have Vargas at 1,060 points, Matt Kemp at 1,051, Brian Mercurio at 10,049, and then Lane Sabile at 10,042, and then 1,042. Goodness, I'll just skip out on the 1,000 here, going through the rest of the top 8. We have Gabe Herschel with 40, Corey Heim with 30, Zach Nichols with 32, Timmy Pacioli 27, Cy Bowen 27, Andrew Schwartz 21, Palmeri with 10, and Austin Moore with 8.
And that mid-race points break brought to you by Gary Weaver. So we have taken the 1 to go signal. We'll restart here on lap 103. We will have 98 laps to go at the drop of this green flag. Waiting on the signal from the flag stand, and green flag is in the wind. We're back racing at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And immediately side by side, Kemp up top. He's going to try and do it like Corey Heim did it on the initial green flag. So far, he's doing it beautifully, Gary, using the top side to his advantage. Going to try and have the lead this time by, and he does.
What a run off turn 4, squeezes Mercurio down. There goes Pacioli riding up in that mythical 4th lane, we'll go with at this point. Kemp gets by on the outside. Mercurio might get passed on the inside here. It is chaotic, and they all just managed to file a single file. Mercurio not going to lose second place just yet.
Pacioli took a look. The whole field flies on by. Pacioli took a look, and I don't know what he's doing in 1 and 2, but it's working amazingly. It stalls out that time as these guys have some older tires, and now the top car on new tires is Zach Nichols as Jesse Love gets punted up the racetrack by his teammate over at Hog Tamers and at RayZPI.com. Now Nichols gets into the 21 car of Love, and Corey Heim has muscled his way into 7th position, and Jesse's going to send him maybe. No, actually, he might be playing blocker. As 3 wide now, Heim's up top, and Nichols goes by.
What a run. Nichols, nearly didn't give enough room there to Corey Heim on corner entry. Heim is going to look to the inside, nearly puts a bump to him. Nichols gets loose. I don't believe there was contact there. It was just the grip of how hard these drivers are pushing. Bumper to bumper again here from this beautiful drone shot as Nichols is absolutely saving that. It's practically like he's driving in the wet here.
That time Heim was loose out of 4. Now Nichols down to the inside of Chris Wentz as Ryan Vargas joins the party and moves the inside of Jesse Love and moves that 21 up the racetrack. Jesse Love, by the way, fresh off of that big ARCA win at Talladega. So congratulations to Jesse Love as well. I can't believe I completely forgot about that until now, but that is big time for his career. And hopefully we see him reach new heights along with guys like Corey Heim and Christian Eckes and everybody else who has been in this series this season. And, of course, running their, I'd say, much more important races on the weekends. As Pacioli, whoa, that was rough.
That was man, it's still going too. I don't think Nichols is out of the woods just yet. He's still bobbling off turn 4 as we see Corey Heim and David Cabrera side by side. Cabrera backs off a little bit, so he'll have to deal with the 17 as they rub doors. Cabrera faltering a little bit on corner exits.
Bowers!
Oh, wow.
In the wall there. I think from contact with Zach Nichols, now comes down the racetrack. Got to be careful of Jesse Love. Oh my goodness, nearly right hooks him into the outside wall. Carson Bowers, a lot of trouble, and he's going to slow it way down to the top side of the racetrack, and I think just try to find a hole down. No caution. And yeah, he finds a hole down to the bottom of the racetrack, and is going to come to a stop and take a tow. No caution from that either. Oh boy.
What happened off turn 2 there is that Nichols had gotten loose, and then right as Nichols had squared himself away, Bowers got immediately loose right not exactly right hooked. I don't want to say that. He snapped right on corner exit of turn number 2, and that's what happened. So probably broke a toe link. That was a very good job, though, regardless, to keep it out of running into more specifically, right hooking somebody or left hooking somebody into a wall, as the 21 and Pacioli are side by side off turn 2.
Jesse Love inside, Pacioli outside, Chris Wetz in 10th. And Pacioli, of course, was making some hay on the top side of the racetrack on the restart. He still is when he utilizes it to his, I guess, fullest extent, but he's definitely starting to slide. I think those tires are definitely a bit worn out, as here comes Gabe Herschel on old tires, the inside of Joel Smith, who's on new tires. That's interesting. The 9 car already headed back. Up front, Zach Nichols all over the back end of Matt Kemp as there's a battle for third. It's Brian Mercurio and Corey Heim. The new tires have made it to the top of the order as Mercurio is going to go way back and Nichols sneaks on by for the race lead. Does this remind you of a race that we've had recently?
Probably.
Martinsville.
Yep.
Heim and Nichols,
in the daylight.
class of the field at Martinsville. I wasn't there. That was you and Emerson. I don't recall the exact circumstances as to how they drove away with the race lead, but those two were the fastest in the run that went to the end. And I'm not saying we're going to go green for the next 82 laps, but I am saying that right now, if we do go green for a while, it's all the 45 and 11, and I think Corey Heim might just have the ever so slight edge as he drives to the inside here of Matt Kemp. This is for second, and he should be able to take this away within the lap.
You say you're not sure how they drove away with the lead. Well, that's pretty much how they did that. They just drove away with the lead, and look at that. Corey Heim proving, man, I wonder. Now I'm curious. Now I kind of want to see Corey Heim in the Cup car at All-Star Race Weekend, just to see if that performance matches up, because that is absolutely incredible. I mean, considering how it went with Martinsville, we'll see. Matt Kemp, however, is sliding back. He's starting to slide back. He's got Cy Ballin behind him. He's got Ryan Vargas lurking very, very closely in his mirrors. We haven't seen Vargas in the top 5 up until, well, now. So we'll see what Vargas can do here.
And you can see, I mean, look at the ticker. You've got all white backgrounds, all white blocks, if you will, tiles up in the front. And then you've got 4 outside the top 10, and then 1 in the back. That's Austin Moore out of the race. So Cream rising to the top, and I would say that if you take points out of the equation right now, if you were to just let this race determine who goes to Charlotte, it would be between your top 6, and like that would, I'd say, be fitting. That's what I'm trying to get at. That would be a very fitting top 6 to fight for the top 4 spots at Charlotte in a couple of weeks. Nichols, Heim, Bowen, Kemp, Vargas, and Mercurio. You could throw in Schwartz, Pacioli. They've been great this season as well, as you see this fight between Vargas and Kemp. But, of course, the better tires on the number 30 car is going to go the way of Ryan Vargas, and the Butler-built number 30 is going to drive away, now with 4th position. And still the points lead.
Wow.
Well, a lot's changed. And in case you weren't watching for the last 50 or so laps, but you were watching about 50 laps ago, don't bother trying to catch up. There's been too much to recap you on. Let's just focus up now as Zach Nichols leads the race on new tires. Corey Heim is second on new tires. Your top 4, all new tires. I say new, they're 25 laps broken in on this 25-lap green flag run, working on 26. Then you've got 5 drivers on older tires, Kemp, Mercurio, Love, Cabrera, Wetz, before Joel Smith has new tires, Andrew Schwartz has new tires, and then a bunch of old tires again at the back end of the lead lap, before you find Anthony Rotolo clinging on the lead lap, and a few guys got the wave around doing so as well. But right now, we're on board with Corey Heim, just watching what he's doing behind the wheel, Gary, and seeing if he's able to make up any time on your race leader.
I'll see how this fares, as it looks like last time by the start-finish line they were about 0.08 seconds off, advantage to Corey Heim, so he is very slowly closing that gap, and it is so insanely precise seeing these seeing the external shots of these cars in turns 3 and 4. Just right where the left side tires are on the grass, you see that gap coming down. It was only 4/10 in just turns 3 and 4. Corey Heim has that thing hooked up insanely well.
Yeah, he's just slowly chipping away at that race lead. Now within 4.5, call it 4/10 or so. It depends on where you're at on the lap. But putting in the hard work right now, trying to reel in the 45 car. We'll come back to that in a little bit. But how about Chris Wetz and David Cabrera side by side on the front stretch with Joel Smith right behind him? None of these guys in the playoffs. Just trying to race for some fresh positions. We'll see how this goes. As Wetz goes to the inside of the 13 car once again.
Cabrera, let's not count him out. He's been doing a fantastic job hanging out in that top 10. Pretty much ever since the start of the race. He started 6th. He's currently 8th, and just like that, now Chris Wetz has Joel Smith up on his outside. All these drivers started within the top 10, about 6th, 5th, and 8th respectively for Cabrera, Wetz, and Smith. So these guys are doing a great job as Wetz gets loose off of turn 4. Just manages to hold it onto the inside lane.
Really impressed with Joel Smith today. I think one of the best runs, if not the best run he's had in this series all season long. Putting himself 9th at the moment. He's had a couple of good runs, I think, on some of the speedways, but they were always short-lived, unfortunately. Whatever circumstances may have been at those races, I recall Las Vegas, Atlanta earlier in the season, but a really solid day going here for the 9 car from Elite Performance Industries, and I really enjoy what the Ray ZPI clan has going on as Joel fights to the inside of Cabrera. This for the 8th position. Doesn't have it just yet, but Joel Smith is a very fiery Legends car driver. Recently was promoted, in fact, this season to the Pro Division in U.S. Legend Car and NX competition, meaning that he's racing with the best of the best. If Bubba Wallace was to go back and run Summer Shootout this season, he would be in the Pro Division, for example. So where a lot of these guys got their roots, even Corey Heim running some Legend races back in the day, that's where Joel Smith is now. In the Pro Division, he has worked his way up, and now he's just waiting to bolster his career, go run some late model races, and move on up, and maybe one day we see him in a truck.
And hey, short tracks like this, it could help out a lot for even if it's in the next gen car here on iRacing, it's going to be helping him a lot bolster his knowledge of short tracks, as we see a whole host of everybody. Cy Ballin is somewhere in the middle of this. There he is in that 17. Lap traffic galore with Ryan Vargas sitting directly behind him now on the inside.
Vargas working on Doug DeNice, works to the inside of the 40 car as Bowen goes down to the inside of the 16, and Vargas moves to the inside of Hagen's side of the 27. Now Pistana, the next car up for Cy Bowen, as I think Williams made some contact with the outside wall that time, and maybe as well with Pistana into turn 1. Ryan Pistana just playing nice and staying up out of the way. That will allow Bowen to go on through, who should retain that 3rd spot nicely and beautifully. And now Vargas goes on by for, well, to get clear, I was going to say for the 4th position, but he's already been 4th, of course, and has a 2nd gap back to Matt Kemp, who has to deal with all of these guys now. 5 cars he's got to pass.
Man, I think we finally have a chance a bit to, well, maybe not Cabrera with a problem.
Cabrera's slow, and he's going to lose a lap now. He falls back. Here goes Vargas.
He got loose off turn 2, and then he got stuck in the grass. He couldn't come back up onto the track.
Ryan Pistana in the wall hard in the 43 car, and that toe link is broken, and he's going to be coming to the pit lane. Maybe not broken. He's going to keep rolling with it. I'm surprised.
Looks to be fine for the most part. There have been a couple drivers that have nailed the outside wall with that right front, but still been able to be relatively okay, save for the squished in right front. But the toe link usually survives here, as we see. Just a combination of getting washing up, hitting the outside wall, and Cody Williams was just right there, and nothing Williams could do with that, and that loosened up Pistana.
You saw
Pistana still hitting the outside wall. He's still struggling.
The measures that Pistana had to take even after the contact happened to try and woe that car down. Got the wall there, got hit by the 16. It got it all kinds of jacked up, and then had to almost come to a complete stop there in 3 just to slow the car down and get a control on it, and brought it back up to speed, but is still having a lot of trouble as our leaders go by them. Will continue to go by them as Mercuria went on by, and now here's Williams and Hagenstein fighting. This is for the 17th spot, 1 lap down. As we near 50 laps to go, contact there between the 16 and 27. They stay clean.
You know, if anything, I like that the most about this kind of racing, where you can just barely lean on the doors of somebody, but for the most part, you'll be okay. It's absolutely fascinating to see, and it's close racing that's also, to a certain extent, hopefully, very respectful, especially. And, well, as we've just seen there, it's very respectful between Hagenstein and Williams.
Let's take a look at the schedule quickly while this run continues on lap 145 of 200. Talladega last week, the LTLN 212. Matt Frisch won that race, Michael Frisch won that race, so nobody locked into Charlotte. The first 3 races in that red box at the bottom, your round 1 of the playoffs, then the season finale at Charlotte is a normal kind of NASCAR Final 4 race where we're taking the top 4 in points or by wins at the end of these playoffs and racing that championship finale. So, with no playoff winner last week at Talladega, that means it's all up for grabs today at North Wilkesboro, next week at Kansas, and at least 2 drivers are going to Charlotte by virtue of points. Right now, Zach Nichols leading the way, Corey Heim second, Cy Bowen third. Any one of them could punch their ticket automatically by winning this race here this evening at North Wilkesboro Speedway, and of course one of them could do it next week at Kansas as well, and then whoever else would fill that field by points. Let's take a look, a recap, if you will, at the point standings coming into this evening. It was all Vargas, Kemp, Sabile, and Mercurio, but Sabile not in the race this evening, kind of forfeits that spot for tonight. Going to have to win next week at Kansas if he wants to make it to Charlotte. So then it's Vargas, Kemp, Mercurio, and Herschel. Herschel, nowhere to be found right now. I say that, he's running the 11th, not too bad, but certainly not earning the points he needs.
It's been a relatively calm race for the most part, especially. Herschel doing a fantastic job. A few drivers, Schwartz, Palmieri, and Moore. This is going to be an unfortunate pun, but more now than ever, they're going to need a win next week to get in. So we'll see how the next week fares at Kansas for these drivers. Zach Nichols doing a fantastic job, minus 18 points coming into this, and now he's leading.
Yeah, of course, that would constrict things even more. Actually, we'll come back to this points graphic, and that would now move Sabile out. That would keep the cut line right behind Mercurio, pending stage points. Mercurio actually might be in front of Kemp. Hard to say, as actually those two are 5th and 6th right now on the racetrack. Kemp with the advantage. They'll be very close. Ryan Vargas has kept his car nice and clean. He runs 4th currently. But Pacioli is about to go a lap down. Herschel will be next up to go a lap down. Bowen runs 3rd. Heim runs 2nd currently. Nichols is leading. Schwartz is back in 9th. A decent run, but not enough points for the 67 car. As here goes Pacioli, 1 lap down. Pounds the outside wall for good measure and slots in behind the 45.
That was terrifyingly close. Oh my gosh. That scared me, and I'm not even anywhere near the track. Well, technically, I'm not even anywhere near the on track. We'll go with that. That was that could have been very, very awful for Zach Nichols, but a great job by Pacioli just to keep it off Nichols.
I want to shout out Matt Kemp right now. He's got 20 lap older tires than Cy Bowen and Ryan Vargas, but he is right on the back of them both, as Bowen's starting to slip up on these very old tires. Problem is, do we know? I'd imagine, right, that there's the fuel to go from the end of stage 1 to the end of this race. It's just going to be really tough on tires as Kemp now fights the inside of Bowen, and Ryan Vargas goes on through to 3rd. Matt Kemp is going to make that pass on the 17 car, maybe. Tried to get it.
Gets loose on the outside. He might try and use Rotolo as a pick, depending, or Kemp might use Rotolo as a pick. We'll see how things fare off turn number 2, and that decision is probably immediately made for Matt Kemp. An easy pass for 4th place for that 54 car.
Oh, Bowen nearly gets into the 5 there of Rotolo, who's just trying to hang on and will give these guys the racetrack. Rotolo running in 15th, 1 lap down. And that backs up Cy Bowen ever so slightly. Is he going to use the bumper on 5? No. Dives down underneath him, as now Mercurio is going to put him 3, maybe? No. Slides in now behind the 17 out of the corner. And another shout out, I think, here certainly, as Chris Wetz is pitting.
That's Chris Wetz. Very, very interesting call coming into pit road. He was
on those old tires.
I'll see how this fares. He is sitting quite a long ways. He might be just
this,
cutting damage, actually, at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, this is in response to something happening.
It hit the wall a few times, I believe, at least once or twice. That right front definitely smudged up, unfortunately.
Let's see if we can find where he got the wall so hard. Oh, I just found it. He was trailing Schwartz in the 67, so he was running 10th, and this is how Herschel got the top 10 recently. Loose out of turn 4, tried to correct it. That is hard in the outside wall, and a lot of damage to the 71 car. Well, the story rewritten now for Chris Wetz. Had a great day going inside the top 10. A lot of damage, falls back, and he's just trying to hang on now. But Andrew Schwartz right on Jesse Love. This is for 8th position, and the points keep coming the 67's way. This is exactly what he needs to do. He might be able to save himself from being in a must-win situation at Kansas next week if he can get just a few more spots. Love in front of him, then 3 more seconds up the road to be Joel Smith. But Schwartz and Smith, the same, I guess, age of tires, while Jesse Love pitted 20 laps earlier.
Looking through the field, it looks like Matt Kemp is definitely within, more definitely within sight of Ryan Vargas, as we see just behind Brian Mercurio moving to the inside of Cy Bowen. Each point's very, very valuable for these drivers, but not going to work. Bowen with a better run off the outside. Very hesitant to close the inside door, but he does do so, entering turn number 3.
Bowen hanging on for now, but that car definitely, he has used his tires up, and Mercurio has saved his stuff for a while and is definitely coming back with a lot of speed compared. Hard to say there's a lot of speed right now in that car, though, with how many laps they've got on the tires. 86 laps of racing on these tires for the 41 of Mercurio. A few caution laps in there, admittedly. Call it 8 or 9 caution laps on that set, but still 70, 80 laps on a set of tires is a long time here at North Wilkesboro Speedway, and Mercurio is looking better for it, honestly, which is really impressive. Same thing for Kemp, by the way, who is now 4th.
And he keeps sliding out of turn number 2 every single corner. I say out of turn 2, but every single corner, Matt Kemp is just dancing all over the track. That's right on board Mercurio, who peeked to the inside off of turn number 2. Couldn't really find the momentum, so we'll just sit behind Cy Bowen for the time being, with Palmieri stuck in the middle of this.
Yeah, Palmieri now 1 lap down once again, joining Kodal, Cabrera, and others, as now Herschel's gone 1 lap down as well. You mentioned Kemp was sliding. You saw it a little bit there as Mercurio gets stacked up behind Palmieri and Bowen. And here comes Chris Wetz on new tires. A lot of damage to the 71, but new tires on that car, as he's going to have to wait for an opportunity to go by these guys. Wetz can still fight for some points. Got to be careful, though. He does not, he really should not put these guys 3 wide.
Yeah, if I was Chris Wetz, I'd weigh in. That's exactly what he's doing. Nearly runs into the bumper of the 41. I got very concerned for about 2 seconds there. But he is abiding his time, so big respect, as he's definitely pushing the car. He locked up, actually, the left front, entering turn number 1 there. They burns up the tires trying to push so hard, but we'll see how things go. He's going to try and pass on the outside and make it at least the least... what's the word I'm looking for? The least...
egregious?
What's it? I'd say restricting, somewhere around there. Basically just trying to make it easy and just stay out of the way, essentially, while also passing these lead lap cars.
By the way, here's Pacioli and Herschel. This is the battle currently for 10th on the racetrack. No pressure right now for either driver, but they are fighting for the lucky dog should a caution come out between now and the end of this race, with 30 laps to go the last time by the flag stand for our race leaders. And Pacioli now to the inside here of Herschel. Again, this is for 10th spot and the lucky dog. And by the way, these two entered tonight on top of each other for the points. One above, one below the other. And really, if you take out Sabile, they would be for the cut line, albeit separated by 13 points.
Man, Herschel bobbling on the outside. We've been seeing that quite a lot on corner exit here. Pacioli sends it, crossover by Herschel to the inside, and now they swap lanes, and just like that, the battle still continues. And it might not be for long, as we'll see how this goes. The battle for that lead lap position might not be for long. We'll see how things go in the meantime. But Pacioli up on the outside, running that way wide line again. That proves useful. That is fascinating.
Really interesting what Patrioli has found up there on the top of the racetrack. Hangs on to the 10th position now over Gabe Herschel. You mentioned Andrew Schwartz about to go a lap down, more or less. Yeah, Zach Nichols closing in ever so slightly. And at some point here, I think the 67 does go one lap down along with Jesse Love. But Schwartz can still get that spot here before the end of this race.
Corey
Caution.
Heim, I think.
Caution for Corey Heim in the 11 in second spot. And he's got a lot of damage.
Off of turn number 2, and oh no. It was contact with Cody Williams.
Get a look at the replay.
Oh dear.
This will be a very important turning point, I think, in this championship. The 16, oh wow. Heim was trying to lap the 16 car, some contact there on the front stretch. And then this happens out of the corner. Oh, wow.
Did Heim get loose? It looked like from that angle he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, Heim did get loose. Williams definitely came
back
down.
So we'll watch this back from the onboard first of Corey Heim. Dives to the inside here of Williams in 3 and 4 as pit stops now are taking place. Everybody going to partake. Aside from Schwartz, it looks like for now. Williams, oh man, they each could have given more room on the front stretch. They each could have given more room. And then this happens out of turn 2. They drove into each other again.
So I know Heim got loose. I don't know about Williams. I highly doubt Williams would do that intentionally, because that would not be the best move, especially. I don't think Williams did it intentionally. I hope not, but especially with how we've seen drivers and how they exit up top off turn number 2 and turn 4. But
let's
yeah,
watch
down
the
that
hands.
front straightaway.
Let's watch the hands here for Cody Williams. We saw the bobble out of the 11. We know he got loose. Williams just kept turning. That's just sloppy. Frankly, I hate to get that, I guess, critical of just normal driving, but that was just sloppy to come that far off the wall when you're racing second place. Even if you made contact on the front stretch, you've just got to be more precise than that. And of course, 100% Corey Heim is at fault as well, because he got loose, came up the racetrack. But for both of them, that's just unfortunately a very sloppy moment, and they got into each other and they both crashed. And oh boy, this gives us some proper short track racing to the end, Gary. Now that we had that, and we've now taken our second place and maybe strongest car in the field and put him 6th with some damage, Zach Nichols is our race leader. Ryan Vargas is now 2nd, Matt Kemp 3rd, Cy Bowen 4th, Brian Mercurio 5th. So we retain the top 6 out front, all being playoff drivers just now in a bit of a different order.
I will say on the bright side for Zach Nichols, he didn't speed on pit road exit this time.
Well, there you go. That's always a good start, as Nichols will take the race lead. We will have exactly 20 laps to go, a 20-lap shootout. Call it another stage, if you will, a segment, maybe for an all-star race. Yeah, NASCAR should do that kind of thing, but they will be in May. Let's take a look at what happens here. 20 laps to go. Nichols, Vargas, Kemp, Bowen, Mercurio, Heim, your top 6. Green flag back in the air at Wilkesboro. Oh, and Cy Bowen motors his way in between to make it 3 wide. Ryan Vargas up top. Contact, they're all crashing.
Oh,
big one for Ryan Vargas and Cy Bowen. And really, Bowen got away pretty much scot-free. That ended up being a lot smaller than maybe it should have been.
Wow.
I'm impressed. We'll see the drift out of Cy Bowen here in a moment, but I am so impressed that was smaller than it was. Or that it could have been, I suppose. You see the 3 wide there, Bowen going for it on a late restart, and Vargas just came down ever so slightly. And look at that drift from Bowen. A little bit of contact there for Heim on the wall, and Palmieri gives a shot there to the 17, but wow. We've got our drama.
I get what he's going for, and I get what Cy Bowen is going for, but yeah, what Vargas is saying over his radio is that, yeah, he had absolutely zero room, as we'll ride on board here. Vargas was practically up against the outside wall, so he could only move so much.
There was contact made to create the line, and I think this is heads-up racing at the end of the race. I don't think you can really put too much blame on Cy because, I mean, this is sim racing, right? If this is a real race, I don't think you see that unless it's, well, maybe for the All-Star race and you got Ross Chastain behind Noah Gragson. I don't know, but quite frankly, I for a sim race with the playoffs on the line, I don't put really much blame on Cy Bowen. I really don't. He took a hole, created it on a short track, used a little bit of contact, yes. Ryan, unfortunately, comes off of the wall the slightest little bit, and maybe Cy could have given him more room. We'll see it in slow-mo this time on the backstretch, and we can really break it down. Maybe Cy can give him more room, but I can't put blame on the 17 car.
So, see, I didn't see until this angle. Yeah, Cy is holding his line. Vargas, Cy moves down ever so slightly. Oh, yeah, that's what that was. And then Mercurio was just unfortunately there. He couldn't really do much. But yeah, that was more of a racing incident than pushing it 3 wide for Cy Bowen.
Yeah, it's really difficult for me to put any kind of blame really on Cy. The only thing I can blame him for is racing for a race win and for the playoffs right here where he makes contact with the 30. It makes it 3 wide. That's the only thing I can blame him for. This is just racing, unfortunately, but a big hit for Ryan Vargas and your points leader. The good news is he's going to stay in the top 10 in all of this. No repairs, no pit for him here under this yellow, but he is at least going to stay in the top 10. Still solid track position compared to what it could be, and he's very much still in this race.
So 1 to green, Nichols has chosen the outside lane for the restart.
I'm surprised that hasn't been done yet. I'm really shocked. The last restart we saw, I guess, coming to the green with 98 to go. So 2 restarts ago, I'm really shocked the leader didn't take it up top. I think that was Mercurio. Didn't choose the top side, but now we see Nichols take it. We're going to have 14 laps to go for the green flag, this time by Nichols up top, Kemp down low, green flag in the air. Corey Heim into 3rd, Brian Mercurio 4th, Joel Smith 5th. With 1 lap complete, Cy Bowen saves it, I think.
Barely.
Kind of.
Just hangs on to it. Yep, that's fine. I count that as a save.
Oh, got roll sideways again, but we stay green, and Jesse Love, we won't stay green. Big crash in turn 3. Slides up to a grinding halt on the outside wall, does Jesse Love, and other cars involved, Pacioli, Kodal, and here comes that short track urgency at a place like North Wilkesboro Speedway. We knew it wouldn't go green to the end, right?
Actually got loose way in turn 2, and then, wow. Well, we'll see here on the replay.
There's the point for Cy Bowen. Slides. You know what? That is a beautiful save, all things considered. That was a lot of angle. But then here's Jesse Love. Gets loose at a turn 2. He's trying to save it, and, well.
I'd rather, I don't know. I can completely understand why he wouldn't want to spin into the grass, but I feel like that would have been the better option.
Well, yes. This is a difficult spot, right?
Yeah.
You know, he's a race car driver. Just picked up that big win in the ARCA series at Talladega. He's a race car driver. He's got real experience. He's trying to drive out of the slide. And traditionally, I think a normal stock car, he would have been able to. But this is the NASCAR Next Gen car. It drives a whole lot differently. He was trying to save it. I think situationally, definitely should have ditched it off in the grass. But he's trying to drive a race car and tries to save it. Comes up the racetrack. The unfortunate thing is, him just trying to gather it up really impacts the day for some playoff drivers that really did not need that to happen. Those being Pacioli and was it 30 or no, the 07 here of Herschel, who stack up. And that's just a big, big incident. Neither one of those guys needed. Even Palmieri got a piece.
Ooh, Cabrera avoiding that crash was definitely something there.
Let's go on board with the 13 car. Take a look at it here on board with David Cabrera. As he sees everything unfold, Love just gets loose, trying to save it, comes up, mollywops the 86, and yeah, wow, Cabrera. Fair enough.
Barely keeps it off the wall, too. That is very impressive.
And this is going to leave us with less than 10 laps remaining at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Tristan Hagenstein, the beneficiary of a lap back, and we have now restored all 17 cars in the race to the lead lap, aside from, oh, here we go, Cody Williams getting back out here. Make it 18 cars now in the race as Jesse Love has called it a day. So Zach Nichols, the race leader, going to choose the outside once again. And that puts the 54 right back down low. That worked out for Nichols last time. It should work again here. But now Corey Heim is going to restart third. Mercurio fourth. Smith and Schwartz complete your top six. And here's a quick look at what's upcoming for us these next few broadcasts. Tomorrow night, we kick off a new season for the North American Racing League at Detroit. Sunday, we go to Okayama with the Simpit Radicals. And Monday at Hickory for the iRacing Cars Late Model Stock Tour. We'll talk more about that here soon as we get ready to go green flag racing. Maybe the final restart of the night. 7 laps to go. Side by side to turn 3, and we have definitely tightened the vice grips on these drivers. Corey Heim's got to go for it. A lot of damage to his nose, but he's going for third on the inside of Mercurio. He needs these points as Nichols goes fastest. If they leave the 45 out front, that is restricting everybody's run at the playoffs, and we've got a caution. Pistana.
And Pistana and Rotolo actually might have been... yeah, just a little bit of contact there.
We'll see it from the onboard here first of Pistana's machine. Oh, there was a big checkup out of turn 4. Contact there with Bowen and Rotolo. And then here comes the 5 car. Boom! Right into the 43. And more contact. And where did the 16 come from? Came back on the racetrack here, racing with Tristan Hagenstein and everybody else. This is the onboard for Cody Williams. A great perspective for all of this. And then we're going to look at what happened to Rotolo to even cause this. But he was just running way up there to get by. I'm impressed. And now look for Anthony Rotolo and why he even got in that position in the first place. Watch the number 5 car, top of the track. Oh, got hit briefly by the 3 of Palmieri. Slides, catches it, clips a couple of cars. Great save, but then down here in turn 1, just went too far down the racetrack and slaps the 43. And Pacioli had another car on his nose. Yet again tonight.
Wow.
The onboard for Timmy, nowhere to go. Well, Gary, this race has gone from clean, green, and handsome to checking up, yellow, and a little bit ugly. But that's how we like short track racing sometimes. We're going to have a green, white, checkered, and hey, no time limit to speak of yet. So we don't have to worry about any of that, as we've had 7 cautions for working on 33 laps. We've got the chessboard played out in front of us. Zach Nichols, the leader, then Matt Kemp, Mercurio, Himes, Smith, and certainly the 11 is wounded. Who do you take here?
I have to go with Nichols with how strong he's been. With how strong he's been throughout this entire race, especially. But Matt Kemp is... If Nichols does go to the outside, then we'll see. But Kemp has been lurking there as well, same with Mercurio, but none of them have essentially had the pace as much as Nichols and to some extent Corey Heim, but Heim is going to be starting in 4th, so we'll see where he sorts out and what line Nichols takes. To the outside he goes.
Well, let me reframe the question. If you got to take somebody to upset the 45 as we're going to have a green, white, checkered, who's it going to be?
I want to say Matt Kemp. You know what? We'll stick with it.
Matt Kemp, that's your choice. I like it. I don't think you really can go for too much else unless Mercurio makes the big move. These restarts for Zach Nichols have been so strong. Since he's been choosing the top side of the racetrack, he has really shown some strength. The top side dominant that first lap, and then the bottom comes back to these guys. Green-white checkered overtime racing at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And immediately, Corey Heim, a big restart. Alongside there, the 54 car dives down in front of Matt Kemp, and we're going to have a white flag, it looks like. 1 lap to go at North Wilkesboro Speedway, brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. 1 car sideways in the front stretch. We keep racing, and Zach Nichols in the backstretch. No contest. Corey Heim, not at all close enough. Redemption for Zach Nichols, not only from Martinsville, but from Dega last week. He is going to Charlotte to fight for a championship.
What a drive by Zach Nichols. A fantastic job. And look at how many cars have look at how many playoff drivers finished in the top 10. That's, I think, almost all of them, save for Pacioli and Moore.
Yeah, that's every driver left in the race aside from Pacioli that was in the playoffs.
Just Pacioli and Moore, and I think we're missing one more, but regardless, a great win for, that's right, Sabile. But great job for Zach Nichols. Absolutely fantastic job.
Amazing run. 87 laps led, dominated on the long run, used those tires at the right time to get up there with Corey Heim, and then just stayed out front, did everything he needed to do, and earned this burnout. Don't need the tires, don't need the motor. It's sim racing, burn it down. And thankfully, it's not on fire either.
Yeah, luckily it won't literally burn itself down. So, what a race! What a great job by Zach Nichols. I could have sworn he led over half of the distance, but apparently not. So that's still great job.
That it is. Very much earned this one, did Zach Nichols. Burning it down through the grass there now in turn 4, all the way down there. And I think very happy with the effort this evening. And we see a return of the 3 drivers I mentioned earlier, pretty much the big 3 here in the series. Zach Nichols, Corey Heim, Matt Kemp, Mercurio. The top 4 drivers really up front where they belong. This race really worked out nicely. I'm impressed with this entire field. I know we had a few cars less. We'll call a duck here. A few cars less, but everybody in the field did really good tonight. And it's been a few rough weeks, admittedly, but everybody redeemed themselves. Amazing race here at Wilkesboro. As Zach Nichols tries to find the elevator, he can't get out the elevator in the sim. I wish we could do that, but unfortunately that's just not going to happen. He's at least found the victory lane area, the building. Oh, and there's no elevator in 87 anyway, so he can't get in there. But as he just kind of explores the infield, let's take a look at our unofficial race results here in a moment. Really solid job, well done, as we mentioned, by Zach Nichols in the 45. But let's take a look at everybody else throughout the course of the field. And Zach Nichols goes to victory lane, and you see just the one red tile of Joel Smith, the one non-playoff driver left in the top 10. That's impressive, especially given the days we saw those guys have.
A fantastic job by Joel Smith. I'd say pretty much one of the, we saw him consistently in the top 10 throughout this race. One of the, at this point, one of the consistently really well-done finishers, or well-driven finishers, that aren't playoff eligible.
So Zach Nichols with the win, Corey Heim second, then Matt Kemp, Mercurio, and Joel Smith, your top 5. Andrew Swartz, Cy Bowen, Jonathan Palmieri, Gabe Herschel, most of the race, none of those guys were in the top 10. They all finished in the top 10, sandwiching Ryan Vargas there in 7th after the crash he had with Cy Bowen. Glad those two made it to the line, by the way. Pretty much right by each other, 7th and 8th. Solid way for those guys to end. 11th, you'll find Anthony Rotolo, then Adam Kodal. A rough race for him, but he recovers to 12th somehow. How about that? And then Pacioli, a rough day for him, ends up 13th. Ahead of Pastana, Denise, Cabrera, Hagenstein on the lead lap. Then Cody Williams came back in the race. Just way behind anybody else in the show. In fact, I think he just got ahead of Jesse Love. You see by 1 lap, 2 laps. Chris Wett's there, your top 20, then a few guys hanging on. Deeper in the field, Jake Fluman, Carson Bowers all out of the race early. Austin Moore, 127 laps out. Then Sean Farr, that really early exit. Wishart never made the green. And then Wedler and Polhemus. Polhemus, man, it would have been fun, I think, to watch Barrett tonight, but didn't actually make the race, it looks like.
That's really unfortunate for him. He did do a fantastic job, though, overall, so we'll see. Hopefully we'll see him next week as well, but now I have at least a little bit to catch our breaths, because, oh boy, looking at the rough math, I'm going to be here a while, so we'll see how things look, but regardless, a great job by Zach Nichols for picking up his another win for the season. I believe the second one, correct?
Second win, yeah. Second driver to 2 wins. Third driver, actually, to 2 wins. His first one last week at Talladega. Let's bring in driver of the 45, Zach Nichols, going to victory lane this evening in dominant fashion as well, especially after the completion of the stage. Zach, first off, how was the car and how were those late race restarts?
The car started off in the beginning of the race a little tight. I think the dirty air played a big role in that. But yeah, I mean, I really wish we didn't get those late race cautions. We just would have just got the race over with. But we started on the top to help teammate Matt Kemp out, but he unfortunately got just beat out there at the end. And we were able to pull it off.
Yeah, of course, you were working with Matt Kemp. Earlier we saw Corey Heim, Jesse Love working together, trying to box everybody out and get everybody to Charlotte. At least that's what everybody's trying to do. But now you are punched on through. You don't have to worry about Kansas. How much of a relief is that?
Considering I do not like Kansas, it's a big relief. I'm glad. We've been close a couple times to multiple wins this season. Just couldn't close them out. And luckily we did today, and I'm glad to be part of the Final Four.
And frankly, this has to be some of the most satisfying redemption you've ever tasted in sim racing. Not only from Martinsville, where you and Corey went head-to-head, and unfortunately, he, at least for you, he came out on the top side of that through some contact, but also last week, a very early exit, just never went your way, many laps down, and now you're going to the championship four.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster, and I'm glad we made it, and hopefully we do good at Kansas, and hopefully we do good in the final race.
Well, Zach, congratulations on the win. 87 laps led out of the 202 I think we ran. Congrats to you, buddy. Celebrate. We'll see you in a couple of weeks at Charlotte.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting this whole season. It's been a ton of fun to go back and watch. All the league admins for putting this whole deal on, and my dad and my uncle Kenny are watching, so I'd like to shout them out as well.
Well, there you go. A solid job here for Zach Nichols, and he's going to fight for a championship in a couple of weeks. Zach, once again, congratulations. We'll talk to you, hope maybe next week at Kansas, but definitely for sure we'll talk to you at some point at Charlotte.
Yeah, thank you.
Finishing second place, right behind him, you see there in the shot, Corey Hahn, not able to get back up to the 45 car under green, had a lot of damage. Finishes second, but I think still a good day for him.
Yeah, it was a fantastic job by Corey Heim. On paper, maybe not the best look, depending on how you want to look at it. Started second, finished in second, but even with a bunch of front-end damage, Corey, you still managed to finish in that second-place position. How's that damage handling for you there at the end?
Yeah, the damage definitely affected a little bit, but regardless of all of that, I think we kind of finished where we were going to. Either way, obviously I had the issue with the lap car, and that kind of put us a little behind, and I got a good last opportunity at the restart where I was on the outside behind Zach, who picked the outside, and I was able to roll with him on the top and just kind of hang on those last couple of laps. But I think the main killer was just me getting kind of impatient after we got off strategy, off cycle on those tires, which ultimately was the good strategy, but I think I just burnt up my stuff trying to hold off Zach, and then got moved and ended up getting behind. So, just ultimately finished where we should have ended up, but big thanks to Race CPI, Hog Tamers, Toyota. My paint scheme manager was out tonight. He missed the race, so had to run my throwback again, which I guess fitted just fine, but we're going to be back next week better than ever.
Next week is Kansas as well, and again, it's Another track that's essentially different from the entire season, let's be honest. So tentatively, unofficially, especially, you are on the outside looking in. Brian Mercurio with 1,084 points, you with 1,072. So your thoughts and strategy heading into Kansas. What do you look forward to at the track, or what do you not look forward to at Kansas?
I really like Kansas in real life and in the sim as well. It's always been one of my favorite tracks. So that was one of the best tracks of mine, I feel like, when we had the previous next gen season in UFL. So I wasn't really good that year in general, but that was definitely one of my best tracks. So just being able to go back there and kind of capitalize on what I've learned in the past couple of seasons, that now I'm a little bit better, more successful than I was the last time we ran next gens for a full year. And going back to a track that I was good at that season regardless, I think it's going to be a good combo for me. But definitely just got to kind of pick it up a little bit. Guys like Zach and Brian are going to be really fast there, and I think they're pretty good on points, so might not have to race them super hard, or they won't be racing to race for a championship. But definitely have to drive hard and be there at the end.
And of course, I mentioned as well earlier, you pretty much shine on short tracks. You did the same thing at Martinsville, and I brought up earlier, it was more of a question for myself at this point, but I did bring up during the race that it would be very fascinating to see how you would do in a next-gen car at North Wilkesboro. So do you think at some point in the possibly distant future that at some point that it would be possible to see you do that, the combination in real life as well?
Yeah, that'd be cool for sure. This place is definitely a lot different in real life. We had the NASCAR test there a couple months ago and ran the truck there for a couple hundred laps just to kind of get some data for Toyota. And definitely a lot of a different racetrack compared to the sim. But regardless of that, it's cool to come to a throwback style racetrack. I think it's definitely produced some good racing today. It was hard to pass, but I think that's that made it a pretty good race overall, and made it interesting getting back to the field. So. I would definitely like to do that sometime in the future for sure.
If I may jump in real quick, Corey, I'm curious. Of course, safety barrier is now at North Wilkesboro Speedway, and all the sealant they've put on the racetrack. Is that where the differences come from? A little bit of tighter line. How does the sealant react?
I think it's more of just the fact that the track is extremely, extremely low grip in real life. And in this, I feel like it's kind of like a medium grip short track, while like I said, in real life it's completely worn out. By far the slickest and least grip racetrack we go to. That blows Richmond out of the water. People think Richmond and Darlington are super worn out, but that's nothing compared to Wilkesboro. So definitely like slower corner speeds in real life, and a lot more tire wear. I feel like we fell off like 3 seconds and 20 to 30 laps in real life, and in here it's like 3 seconds throughout that whole last run. So I think that's definitely the main difference.
There you go. Corey, thanks for your time. Sorry to jump in there, Gary, but 97 laps led for Corey Haim. He clearly knows what he's talking about here at Wilkesboro. Corey, congratulations. P2 is still solid. Hopefully you can get some points out of Kansas next week, and best of luck to you.
I appreciate it, guys.
And Gary, I'm actually really fascinated by the feedback there from Corey. That's a rare opportunity. You don't get that in sim racing every day, to talk to somebody who's cut laps at a place like Wilkesboro and to hear about the differences. That's really, really fascinating.
I'd always love it when I'm pretty sure I brought this up at CODA as well, and probably the few times between then and now, where I always love that somehow, some way, that all these drivers have time in their schedule to do this. And even though it's maybe only probably about 3 hours total of their evenings, it's still just it's still nice of them for them to race with us, or I don't know how to put this, but us on iRacing that don't really have the same opportunity that they have to run cars in real life, and they come and join us on the sim. It's amazing. I love it. It makes them feel more connected. It gives a short track feel where you can just go up to a driver that raced on track and just have a normal conversation with them.
Definitely. If you were to buy a pit pass to Hickory Motor Speedway, for example, you can roam through the pits, pick a driver, talk to him, maybe Landon Huffman, who knows, and have a chat. So I agree there. Let's go ahead and talk to Matt Kemp, who rounds out our podium this evening. And Matt, for a long while, you looked like you were just kind of gonna stay quiet in the top 10. Then you got real strong later in the race, 13 laps led as well. But what went wrong?
That didn't really work out for us in terms of how the cautions flew, and then when I know Mercury and I stayed out, we got a really long green flag run after that. So that it didn't really do us too well. And then also right at the end there, short runs and short tracks in this car are kind of my worst nightmare. So definitely didn't do a very good job either on the last restart. So kind of a combination of things. Didn't do a great job, but a lot better off than I expected the night to go. So I'll take it.
Yeah, of course, you started 10th, kind of back there in no man's land away, right in the middle of the field. So how surprised were you to have that clean green racing for the first, really, 75% of this race?
I would say more so relieved because long run was my only chance tonight. So just was fortunate to have a few of those, and it really was my saving grace, because if we had a bunch of cautions, I was not very good on restarts and in short runs. So just fortunate that it went green, really.
Well, going into Kansas next week, per some unofficial counts, you're pretty well safe still in the points, but you've got to keep executing, keep doing work at Kansas to make sure you don't have anything bad happen. How do you play self-preservation at a place like Kansas Speedway, where we're going to see, I think, a combination of a little bit of that kind of low horsepower pack racing as well as handling that we've seen with this next-gen car?
I like the 1.5s a lot more with the next-gen car compared to the short tracks and road courses, so that's why, I mean, I've been a little bit MIA the last, 4 or 5 races, so I'm excited to get back to the 1.5s and hopeful that we can put on a good run to get us locked in here. But regardless, we've had a pretty decent season, had a lot of fun.
Well, there you go. Matt Kemp, a pretty solid run, 3rd place this evening. I think a few stage points as well. Matt, congratulations, and hopefully we're talking to you in another positive sense, I guess, at Kansas next week.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Matt Kemp, a very solid evening here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. No real complaints, I don't think, there for car 54. Sounds like he is pretty relieved and pretty happy with how that went. But Gary, that is not at all what I expected this evening. I think very much happily relieved as well. Surprised, even Palmieri. I thought was jinxing us with the extra time limit in this race, but we got through it fine. Really solid racing again. Hats off. It's been a rough couple of weeks. I think we've seen that. We've all experienced it. Hats off to the entire field, admins and drivers alike. A really good race tonight.
Yeah, it was a lot better than I expected too. It was great, especially it was some close short track racing, and then just really great racing overall. These cars can handle this track really well, and again, I'm excited to watch the All-Star race. And I really hope that at some point, that's actually what I was going to bring up to you before when you brought it up at the start of the broadcast, is that North Wilkesboro's All-Star race happens to coincide about a week or two before iRacing's build. So maybe, hopefully, possibly, there could be the slightest chance that we'll get something around then for North Wilkesboro. But if not, we'll get it at some point. I know that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to have to happen at some point. There's no way Dale Jr., both with the hand he's got in iRacing and in North Wilkesboro Speedway, allows it to go unadded, if you will. It's going to happen at some point. It's a matter of when, really, it gets added to iRacing. As far as the current version, the 2022, 2023 version, whatever you want to call it, as it's also going to have some really cool updates. You're going to have grandstands pretty much all the way around the racetrack, suites up on top of most of those grandstands. The job SMI has done paving the infield and really making it a state-of-the-art facility compared to what it was, and really even still state-of-the-art facility compared to most any other short track you go to in the United States, if not any other short track. Speedway Motorsports, Marcus Smith, Dale Jr., all of those guys have done a fantastic job, genuinely. I really do mean this, renovating that speedway and getting it completely, I think, up to the times. And there's still a few things that'll be behind. It'll still have that kind of Americana, old school NASCAR feel from the 80s and 90s, but for the most part, it is going to be a brand new facility up and down. But let's talk about the upcoming races here for the UFL Elite Series. 2 more races to go. Kansas next week, and we cut things off, and we'll have our our championship field for Charlotte. A lot on the line next week at a very different, I guess, we'll say, racetrack compared to the rest of the season.
It's going to be, like you mentioned, very different. Again, that's like what we've been saying, is that this whole schedule encompasses the best of the best tracks, essentially, all different types of tracks that we have within the I guess, technically both iRacing service as well as NASCAR as well. So it showcases what these next-gen cars can do in various scenarios. I don't know if we can call it that, on various racetrack types. Well, that sounds a bit better. And it's going to be, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the draft especially will play into effect at Kansas, as well as, I guess, sort of by extension, Charlotte as well.
We'll see how things boil down, and we'll see these upcoming broadcasts at Pit Stop TV on the channel. In fact, next time we're live, Gary, you'll be in the field for the amateur race for the North American Racing League Porsche Cup season beginning tomorrow night at the Belle Isle Street Course in Detroit, Michigan. That's going to be a lot of fun at 8:30 Eastern. Have you prepared? Have you been preparing, or are you cramming all that practice into the next 20 or so hours?
I've been trying my best to prepare at times, and my gosh, it's difficult. I've been doing my best. We'll go with that. Luckily, the race is only 30 minutes for the amateurs, so hopefully I'll survive long enough to at least make it to the end. But I'm not sure about that, so we'll see. I'm in the amateur division for a reason. We'll go with that.
Well, I do like the changes that have been made, and we'll talk more about it tomorrow night on the broadcast, but 30-minute race, no pit stop. It looks like 80% fuel load for the amateur division, and then a 50% fuel load and 50-minute race for the pros. So no pit stop for the amateurs. I actually like that. Keep everybody on the racetrack as much as possible. Take that strategy out of it, I think, is a good thing for the amateur class. Let everybody build a little more and focus on just building, putting in laps, especially at a street course to kick off the season. That is going to be crazy. But then Sunday, Okayama International Circuit kicks off a 2-week stint in Japan for the SimPit Radical Series on April 30th. And Monday, we kick off a new week of iRacing cars, late model stock tour racing with Hickory Motor Speedway. That's going to be a lot of fun. Pretty much the quintessential late model stock track in Hickory Motor Speedway. Cars Tour was just there a couple of weekends ago. I'm excited to see how things go for our sim racing venture there at 8:15 Eastern. And of course, we wrap back around to a new week with the UFL Elite Series going to Kansas next Wednesday on May the 3rd. And Gary, lots of places to keep up with everything Pit Stop TV in all of these leagues.
It is pretty much everywhere that you can find for the most part. Facebook.com/PitStopTV. Twitter is at PitStopTV_, or if you're going to type it in the long way, is of course Twitter.com/PitStopTV_. Instagram and Twitch are both the same ending URL, so Instagram.com or Twitch.com/Pit_Stop_TV. And then YouTube is at Pitstop TV1, either the @ symbol or /C, whichever method you prefer. It works either way.
Well, thanks for joining us this evening. It certainly has been a pleasure, as always. A big shout out to our partners here with the series, Speed Visions, Cody Williams Design, Race EPI. Always a pleasure here with the UFL Elite Series, the Untitled Friend League. And I got to be honest, this is one of the best NASCAR-style leagues, if not the best NASCAR-style league I've covered ever, if not, I was going to say in a long time, if not ever. I really have enjoyed these guys. A lot of great personalities, a lot of great speed. Everybody brings something to the table here, even if they're just a casual sim racer trying to join in on the fun. Everybody brings something, and it's so much fun to watch these guys week in, week out. I'm hoping for a big field next week at Kansas and at Charlotte, and a whole lot of drama for our championship finale at Charlotte in a couple of weeks. Gary, glad to have you in the booth these last few races as well. It's been a pleasure. How do you sum this one up? How do you close this one out?
Very, very fun. It was absolutely fantastic. I have been refreshing the points page throughout this entire time. Nothing just yet. I'm pretty sure they're still working on it, but we'll go with the unofficial, very unofficial point standings for the time being. So Zach Nichols has locked his way into the Final Four, so he defaults to first place. Ryan Vargas with 1,093 points, and I'm going to drop the 1,000 from here on out. So essentially, Ryan Vargas with 93 points, Matt Kemp with 88, Brian Mercurio with 84. That is your top four. Corey Heim is going to be the first outside the cutoff with 72 points. Gabe Herschel with 70. Cy Bowen with 57. Andrew Schwartz with 55. Timmy Pacioli with 54. Leighton Sibile with 42. Jonathan Palmieri with 41. And Austin Moore with 24. That is a very coincidental rhyme. I swear I did not make that up. But that is your provisional, tentative. We'll go with point standings going
Very
into next
unofficial.
week until we're told otherwise, or until the points show otherwise.
Yeah, very unofficial. If I going off of that, if I had to put labels on some of these guys as far as must win or not, of course the guys in the top 4, they're all looking great actually, because even Mercurio, 4th in that group, has 12 points on Heim if these points are accurate. Then Heim, 12 points out, I think can absolutely make that up between the stage and finishing position, but I would say at 14 out, Herschel is really a must-win given the tendencies we've seen this season. Not mathematically a must-win by any means, but very, very close to it. Cy Bowen on down. Let's see, what is that? Nearly 30 points, 27 points. Everybody else has to win next week at Kansas if they want to fight for a championship. And that only changed late in the race. I think Bowen was in a much better spot, of course, in the top 3. Not even I think. He was in a much better spot. And a good bit closer, probably closer to 20 points or so out. It just all kind of piled up the wrong way for a lot of these guys towards the end. And even Schwartz, Pacioli, just a really rough day at the office for them. But that will do it for us this evening from North Wilkesboro Speedway. Again, getting caught up here. Thanks so much for watching this evening. Thanks so much for tuning in. We certainly do appreciate it. And a big thank you to those who make it happen for us behind the scenes in audio, ATVO, Whiplash Media, SimCams, OBS, and iRacing.com, allowing us to do what we do on Wednesday nights and other days and nights throughout the week. It is always appreciated. Congratulations once again to Zach Nichols going to victory lane at North Wilkesboro Speedway. We'll see you all next week at Kansas. Can't wait for it. We'll be zooming into a different spot here on this Google Earth, somewhere right in the middle or so. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll see you there.